Now we're going to react to Jordan Peterson calmly dismantles feminism in front of two feminists.
Great.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
One of our guests of the day, the other one today, is a man you may recognise, or maybe you don't. Jordan Peterson has achieved that rare feat, becoming a global superstar academic. So how did he become so well known? He first came to national prominence in Canada in 2016 in a debate about new laws.
What is it with British compared to American? There's some snobbiness to British. Not all, of course, but you know what I mean. Like when you hear her talk, sounds a little bit snobbish.
On gender identity. Bill
And
C-16 made it an offence to refuse to call someone by their chosen gender pronoun. Jordan Peterson argued that this would infringe free speech, while some supporters of the bill said he was advocating prejudice. From there, his YouTube started.
Anything that forces you to say something is an attack against your free speech and your free will. Ridiculous.
Took off, and he has now over 1 million subscribers. And his videos, where he talks everything from identity politics, which we've touched on, to the Bible, to Disney movies, have been viewed over 150 million times. Gosh, that's about the same number of viewers we have on this programme. Last year, he supported ex-Google employee James Damore, who had been fired for suggesting men and women have different interests due to biological differences.
How dare he! How dare he be making sense?
And his latest book, 12 Rules for Life, has taken him on
We have that one.
Yes.
a global tour promoting his ideas. And just this week, he sold out the 1,000-seater Emmanuel Centre around the corner here in Westminster. So, Jordan, you've done endless interviews. You've been publicising your book, and they've generated plenty of heated debate.
No, actually sold out the Apollo. It had 5,000 seats.
All right, stop boasting. Do you think, though, because of the heat that has been generated...
Right there, you can see that this is not objective. Had she been objective, she would say, that's great, good for you. You know what I mean?
that your views have been misrepresented at times?
Oh, definitely, but that's, that's part and parcel of the process. I did take a very forceful stance, let's say, against some of the excesses of the radical left-wingers, and it's in their best interest to paint me as somehow a figure of the extreme right, because then I don't have to be contended with. But
yeah, and,
exactly.
That's how.
Just label him and he's over.
Yeah, that's how that side works with everything. Just look at now with the deet. If you don't want this deet, then you're an anti all deet. You know what I mean? Which is bullshit. So they that's their lazy ass method to just shut down shit. They don't have the energy or the
and also the personal attack that you're a racist and you're this and you're that, instead of going with fact. What is he saying? Why am I not agreeing with his thoughts, or things like this, and not go. I think it was Bill Burr that said that in a comedy show or something, that when he and his wife argued, as soon as she started to go with the personal attack, he knew he won.
Yeah, he knew he had her.
Yeah, he knew he was right, and she couldn't accept it, and that is why she went with the personal attack. And I think that goes for everyone in
everything.
Yeah, in all
right?
kinds of arguments.
Because it indicates that you ain't got nothing to argue against the whatever you're discussing. You have nothing to say against that, so you're left to the only resort you have, personal attack.
I mean, it's easy for people's views to be oversimplified in a very large public debate.
I mean, in terms of some of the issues, I mean, you say you've been painted as an extreme right-winger.
No, some people have tried that. Not very successfully, but they've tried it.
And you came to prominence in part over your opposition to this law that we just talked about in Canada, proposing the use of preferred pronouns for transgender people. Just for clarity.
Mandating them.
Yeah.
Right.
Saying that you should do it.
Mandate.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
No, that you had to do it.
Right, you had to do it by law. But just for clarity, do you think a trans woman is a real woman?
I don't really like the way those questions are formulated. You know, I don't know what that means. What do you mean a real woman?
Well, I'm asking you, in your mind, you know, it depends what you think a real woman is, but do you think a trans woman is a woman?
No.
I'm sorry, I stopped you. I just wanted to hear his answer in the full context.
Yeah, and the world exploded,
Yeah.
which it shouldn't. Why the fuck would it explode to that?
Why not?
What do you mean, why not?
Because I think that women are capable, generally speaking, of having babies, and they have female genitalia, and they have an XX chromosome, and I think the biological markers are relevant. It doesn't necessarily mean that I don't think that people should be treated with respect and dignity if they happen not to fit easily into a gender category. That's a different issue.
Right.
But it's a matter of definition. And I actually think it's a foolish argument in some sense. Because what do you mean by real?
Well, I mean, you've just clarified.
Just that you need to point that out. Do you think T gender is a real woman? Just that you need to say that already answers it. Because otherwise you wouldn't need to say that.
That though, you don't think that a trans woman is a woman, and do you think that that is what is behind or explains your opposition to this idea of a law mandating you to use a preferred pronoun, is because you don't actually believe that that's the truth, that a trans woman is
It's not the truth. Are you nuts?
Well, let me see what she is.
Wait.
Okay.
So you need to mandate somebody, basically force them to say that, even though they don't believe it. For what? If it was true, you wouldn't need to mandate that shit. It would have come naturally.
You've just clarified that, though. You don't think that a trans woman is a woman, and do you think that that is what is behind or explains your opposition to this idea of a law mandating you to use a preferred pronoun, is because you don't actually believe?
Believe is one thing, facts and what you know is the other
Right.
thing. What you believe is not relevant to nature.
Yeah.
That's the truth, that a trans woman is a woman, and therefore
You see her smiley face?
Yeah.
She's so proud of herself.
Yeah.
you can't use that pronoun.
No, that's not my argument at
Really?
all. Yeah, really. My argument is that the
I know what
government
your
shouldn't
argument
compel
is.
voluntary speech.
No, but I know what your argument is, and
No,
you've
but
made
that's
it very
really
clearly.
it. No, but that's exactly it. There's
But the
no behind.
motivation
There's no
behind
motivation
it.
behind it.
But you don't believe
I
a
wouldn't
trans
put
woman is a woman.
everything on my online in my life to take the stance I did unless I had thought that through very deeply. And I've thought it through very deeply. There aren't hidden motivations that have to do with some arbitrary prejudice against trans people.
Okay.
It's pure and simply this. There's never been a time in English common law history where the government compelled speech, and the Canadian government dared to do that. And that was unacceptable. And they masked it with this show of compassion for the oppressed, and I don't buy it.
Right, but you would, as I think you said, at an individual level, if somebody asked you, if somebody asked you to use a particular pronoun, you would do so.
Well, I have.
You have,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, you could see that as somebody saying, "My name is Veronica." Okay, hello, Veronica.
Yeah.
You know, you can see it as that.
Fine.
Yes.
Let's talk about feminism. Are you a feminist?
No, not as it's currently defined, certainly not.
No. Well, in any other definition?
Well, I think that anybody who doesn't think that the
Look how fucking warped it is. She's like, "Are you a feminist?" He's like, "No." Well, well, okay. This same feminism that's supposed to be for women is now trying to include men, the T man, into being women.
So, and they're the men.
So therefore, if you ladies support feminism, you don't support women.
competitive landscape should be opened up for equality of opportunity is not thinking. And so everyone's interests are better served if people have as equal access to opportunity to display their talents and to manifest their talents in the world as possible. So in that sense, certainly. But feminism now, as far, and this is why it's so deeply unpopular, a very small minority of women in the UK identify as feminists. And the reason for that is it's primarily become an ideological weapon. And it's an ideology that I detest, actually. The ideology that it's associated with, collectivist ideology.
Right. I mean, okay, and that's your view about feminism. Aisha, are you a feminist?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a very proud feminist. And when I was...
Good luck getting men. Good luck getting men other than betas.
was a special advisor in government. I worked on women and equality issues, and I was very proud actually of a piece of legislation I got on the statute book with my former boss Harriet Harman, the Equality Act in 2010, which strengthened our anti-discrimination laws. And I fought very hard to get more women into public life, into the Labour Party, and I'm very, very proud of being a feminist, hence my pink dress.
Oh, well.
So every woman loves pink.
What happened with weren't they against the what do you say? That women likes, women are a certain color, pink, and men are blue.
Men and women are equal. They are the same. There are no differences between men and women. Wasn't that?
Yeah, that's what they said. Yet she's like, that's why I'm wearing pink. These people are so stupid.
All right, obviously reverting to type then in the pink dress.
Absolutely, well...
you would like men to regain or reclaim their strength physically, mentally and morally. Is that broadly correct?
I would say morally, fundamentally, but I think the other things go along with that.
Right, and if that
But it isn't men precisely who I'm speaking to. It's people. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm actually interested in individuals, and I'm interested in their fortification against tragedy. You know, every time I do an interview, the interview is always political. It's always political.
Well, the clue is in the title of this programme. We are the Daily Politics.
No, fair enough. No, look, fair enough. And I'm not casting aspersions at this programme, but the fundamental news that's important about what I'm doing isn't the political element. And the people who talk to me don't talk politically. They say they've watched my lectures.
But part of it is that I think for a lot of people the kind of...
Is she woman-splaining when she's interrupting right there?
Woman-splaining.
Personal does become the political.
Or the political becomes the personal.
Yeah, and I think in terms of the...
but in this situation, a lot of people are wrong, because primarily what's happening is people are watching my lectures, and as a consequence, their lives are improving dramatically.
Oh, I'm sure they are. I'm sure people are like, have had a huge conversion after, and they're much happier once they've been...
It's not a conversion.
But what I would like to do is kind of almost... I think at the moment the discussion about feminism is very divisive, and sometimes it can sort of be like, okay, men have to lose and women have to gain. Actually, everybody has a lot to gain by greater equality. Now, whether you get the equality of outcome that you want, I think only time will tell. But certainly, equality of opportunity is very important. And actually,
we can agree on that.
And a lot of men would benefit from that. So I think a lot of men are having a lot of crises at the moment in terms of mental health, suicide issues, their own sense of identity, because I think some of the stereotypes put on men are quite limiting for them as well. I think they make men quite unhappy as well.
The devil's in the details with regards to equality, because I'm an advocate of equality of opportunity. But
and
I think the idea outcomes, that's an appalling doctrine.
Why?
All right. Well,
because you have to produce an unbelievably potent bureaucracy to make the ever greater and ever finer distinctions that are necessary to enforce equality of outcome. How many group differences are you going to equalize across? Is it just gender and sex? How many genders?
No,
gender and ethnicity? How many genders?
I think
how many ethnicities? How many races?
We'll let Aisha answer.
I think what people are trying to do with this, and certainly as somebody who has sought to sort of do this myself, I think you set yourself ambitions for what you would like to see, and then you try and remove as many of the structural barriers and obstacles. So you try and create that fair crack of the whip and that equality of opportunity to see where you get to with the outcomes.
Excuse me, but not until I see feminists fighting for the sewer jobs, plumbing jobs, and all of those things, not until I see that will I believe these people. Because there's nowhere to find them. You know what I mean? They are not fighting for the sewer jobs.
No.
Because if you're gonna be equal, let's do it.
They're fighting for the banking job and the web design job.
Where they can just push a pen on a paper and get like.
Or maybe that will jobs that will high level up their status or something, like firefighter, police. That will make, you're a police, wow, good. But no one wants to be work in the mine or work in the sewers.
Yeah, so you can't claim you want equality and not go for every job.
That's
now,
fine.
we are in very early stages. It's only 100 years since women got the vote in this country. We have had a long-established patriarchal society and set up for a long time in the world, in this country. So I think we have a long way to go to see where it plays out. There is no country in the world where we really do have gender equality properly yet in terms of real decision making and real
some of the
power.
Scandinavian countries maybe,
but they're still not quite there, and I think you've spoken a lot about this. There's still a way to go in Scandinavia. Things are not perfect in Scandinavia.
I haven't spoken about that specifically. I've spoken about.
You spoke about the right stuff yesterday. You talked about the Scandinavian.
Well, I've spoken about the fact that, see, one of the things that's happened in the analysis of the differences between men and women is that the social constructionist claim is that the differences are socially constructed, right? Is that it's a consequence of environment that men and women differ. But what the scientific literature indicates is that as cultures become more egalitarian, like they have in Scandinavia, the differences between men and women actually increase rather than decreasing, which is a direct repost to the social constructionist view. So they just deny all that. The biggest differences in the world in interest and temperament are between Scandinavian men and women. It's exactly the opposite of what everyone predicted.
Can I just pick up on one thing you said a little earlier in the interview, which you said...
That is not interesting to discuss.
Yeah. You're making too much sense now. Oh, it's gonna dissolve everything we're saying.
It's the moral guidance that you are focused on. You think that is particularly important. How do you square that with the behaviour of perhaps arguably, a prominent alpha male president of the United States, Donald Trump, when his behaviour, he is accused of having an affair with a porn star when his wife was pregnant. How does that fit with morally reclaiming?
That's none of your fucking business. It's none of your business. It's between him and Melania. Not your business.
And it's not, if it's true, it's not like it was the first time it ever happened.
Yeah. And as long as it doesn't affect how he's running the country, it doesn't matter.
Blaming,
I would say that was rather clearly immoral.
And I think that was bullshit as well, some of those stories.
Right.
Yeah,
but you would still,
not to be a target for emulation.
But you still would have voted for him over Hillary Clinton.
Let me just hear the full comment.
As an identity politics. It's just how
none
do
of that
you
was
win
on
the
the table, and I said I might have voted for him on a whim. That's all.
But you also did say you started out feeling quite close to Hillary Clinton. Can I just come on the
very quickly, because we've got to move on.
In a way, I don't care what Trump does in terms of his private life, but what I don't have is him stopping or potentially stopping other women having agency over their reproductive rights, and lots of men taking those decisions.
It's all about where the moral outrage lies and what's more morally outrageous in people's eyes. Is it his behaviour or the identity politics for you on the... Anyway, we'll have to discuss it.
Okay, you don't like that regarding abortion, right? But you like to be behind the mandating of speech. You like that.
Yeah.
But you don't like the abortion thing. Hypocrites. Can't stand them. Can't stand them.
No. Yeah, but he's trying his best. It's a short amount of time that he has to try to, say and argue with them. So very good job for that. And he's making sense as always. The problem is, I think they hear what he says, but they don't listen. And that, I think, is the problem.
They already
generally.
made up their mind because they're not for the truth. If they were for the truth, they would go back and forth,
But I think it's also their how you say, egoist, self-centered, because they are more interested in the outcome of how themselves are viewed by other people, and not what is actually morally and factually right.
Yeah, or it's just that they have a mission to push.
That as well, of course.
And if they don't push that, they lose whatever they lose. You know what I mean, like in money. Or
but
whatever.
if they didn't push that, they wouldn't be on this show, so they would lose whatever it is they lose. So, yeah, it's the ego. Also.
And you know this thing about
laziness.
This thing about men and women being the same.
But they're not.
Why would I be with you if you were the same as me? Why would I even be with a woman? Then I would marry a man.
That would be easy, right?
That would be a lot easier. Then we wouldn't have that many argues over dishes and shit.
The cleaning.
And, you know, things women like. You know what I mean?
You don't say you love.
Yeah, and also, yeah, you know what I'm saying. And also, this is so stupid. You become stupid trying to figure it out. You know. So if there's no difference between men and women, then why is there gay, straight, lesbian,
gender
this and
blended.
that? Why? They're the same shit.
So there's no difference. So we don't need to label everything
Right?
then. So
Right?
finished.
And also, am I to deny that I got a ding-a-ling and you don't? What is that? An illusion? Are we just high on some drug?
Yeah.
Seeing shit that aren't there? Do you see how stupid this world is becoming? It has to stop. It has to stop. It will. There's no good in enforcing stupid shit. It will only
It will
become
only backfire
a
eventually.
troubled world.
Really.
Okay. See you in the next one.
Bye.
Peace out.